Hi, Jason with Women's Super League and Aussie View. In the new video, last night I had a very special guest on. That's Richard de la Riviere from the UK. He's a rugby league journalist and author, and we had a great discussion. We spoke about the Super Fours, World Cup selection, and players that are putting their hand up to be on that plane to Australia. One of them, indeed, we spoke about is a real wildcard who's putting herself in contention for that. We spoke about the three English girls playing in the NRL and we rated them. Amelia Brown's try-scoring exploits in the last couple of games since she's come back from injury, and a whole host of other things. So we did have some technical issues with the size of the video and the quality, so not as good as I was hoping for. I really enjoyed it. Rich is great to talk to. He has very strong opinions and views on the game. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Hi, Jason again with the Women's Super League and Aussie View, and I'm joined today by Rich de la Rive. Rich, fantastic to see you, mate.
Oh, good. Thank you for inviting me on. I've enjoyed all your videos so far, mate. So great to be a part of it.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you here, really is. And I just want to go over a few things. The Super Fours, we'll talk about a few players that are putting their hand up for World Cup selection. And we'll look at the three English girls playing in the NRLW. So we'll start off with the Wigan Saints Super 4 game. I thought that Wigan ran away with a big scoreline, but what's going on there at Saints, mate?
Well, I always felt that the platform laid by the St Helens props was the reason they had so much success between 2021 and 2024. And I think even in 2025, I think they arguably had a better set of props than Wigan, and that was the one advantage they had over them. And that's possibly why they were able to push them close in the two league games and then as well in the grand final. But the Saints have been decimated a prop this season. So last season, they were rotating 5 props, of which Naomi Williams has retired.
Yep.
Shani Crowell hasn't played this season. Georgia Sutherland has just come back and played her first game. So those two, that's the sort of injury or illness issue. I think Georgia was an ACL. Darcy Stott left. My understanding is that perhaps, that was partly down to the club, but I think they've missed her. I think it was her decision to go, but I think it could have been different. And I think they've missed her. She was a very good impact player who got onto the fringes of the England squad. So the only one of those 5 they've still got is Vicky Whitfield. And I share your view that they probably should be starting Vicky, because Matty Smith started Vicky every week in 2024 when they were 1 game away from another treble, and she was outstanding that season. And I think there are too many games now where she's coming off the bench and they're already something like 20-0 down. So I think at prop, they've now gone from being stronger than Wigan to being quite a bit behind them, because Wigan at the same time have massively improved their middles. And they've got people like Bethan Dainton and Kelsey Gentles. And I mean, Lucy Sams, who used to play for Saints, she's had a magnificent season, hasn't she? We know how good Mary Coleman is. So Wigan are now rotating 6 brilliant middles. Of course, it's actually Megan Williams, who's possibly
she's been amazing.
The leader of those 6, and another ex-Saints player. Whereas I think the Saints middles, just through partly bad luck with Shani and Georgia, they're not what they were. And that platform that they laid is just no longer there. And I think there are obvious other reasons. We know that Wigan have got some unbelievable players and they're coming into their peak years. But I think you take away that platform of top quality middles, and that's where Saints have struggled this year, I think. And
full credit to Dennis Betts. What he has done with that Wigan side, every player seems to know their role. Their forwards just bash it up the middle, get on top of the opposition. And that, as you said, lays the foundation for the spine, which is absolutely brilliant. You got Grace Banks at the back, Thuberster and Rowe in the halves, Remy Wilton at hooker. And that spine is so important for Wigan. And, they're on fire at the moment.
They do just look like a very well-coached team. It's the little combinations, Thuberster and Hunter, the way that Grace Banks links and comes into the line. They look very well coached. I think, look, I don't want to make enemies here. I don't think Denny's pulled up any trees when he coached in the men's game. you wouldn't have him on a shortlist of the greatest ever coaches, but he's got a CV that in 2024 was way ahead of any other coach in the women's game. And this is the result of that. And I think, Huddersfield getting Nathan Graham, he's massively improved them. And I think this is perhaps the direction that we need to go in. So I think we either need male coaches from the men's game who have coached professionally, or we need coaches like Lindsay and Lois who have got that type of experience on their coaching staff. Because I'm not for 1 minute suggesting we don't have female coaches anymore, but I think some of the coaches in the women's game just don't really have enough on their CV now to be going head to head with people like Dennis Betts.
Just one other thing as well. Berry Salehi, Megan Williams, Lucy Sams, all ex-Saints players. They've gone to Wigan. They look bigger, stronger, faster, powerful. Megan Williams is player of the match again on the weekend. Absolutely outstanding again. So they're all definitely putting their hands up for England selection.
Saints lost those three directly to Wigan, but they've also lost, just off the top of my head, Erin Stock left them. These are all youngish players, teens or players in their 20s. And I don't know the reason why these guys have gone. I've not been a journalist in 2026 with the women's game, so I don't know. But it's not a good look, is it? When they're bringing young players through. They've signed Anna Dennis, who you've always said is a brilliant fullback.
Yeah, she's going to be a great player for them.
Maya Drescher coming through. There are young players coming through. Erin McDonald's had a very good season coming in at prop.
Absolutely.
Alex Bridge. She's come back. Who's come back from an ACL and very good second row. So there's no issue with them bringing players through, but they have lost 4 or 5 over the last three years or so. They've lost 4 or 5 players who seem to be established. Yeah, the Leah Birkin drama. That's terrible luck that she did an ACL for a second time, and he's now out with a second injury as well.
Achilles, yeah.
So there are mitigating circumstances for sure, but Wigan have raised the bar spectacularly in the last couple of years. But the final piece of the jigsaw for Wigan was getting that set of middles together, because that's what they lacked when Betts came in, and he always spoke about that. And they got some good forwards in last year, but it was still, some of them, they weren't genuine out and out middles, Power and Vivas, but they've got them now. They've got 6 genuine out and out middles. And as I say, you mentioned Megan Williams. I could not rate her higher. What a player. Yeah. What a player.
And I've always said forwards win the big games. You have to get on top in the big games. So we're going to killing it at the moment. I just want to move on to York v Leeds, because that, for me, that's a huge upset. I saw York Valkyrie the week before against Wigan, and they could barely string a pass together. That's a magnificent result for them. So, what a result for York Valkyrie.
Well, it's good when we get a result that we don't see coming, because even though York had home advantage, we were both confident that Leeds would win that game. Leeds have been much improved this season, and we'll maybe come on to that. But York have really missed Lindsay Anfield this season. I think there's been a big transition there, because Lindsay had been there for so long and had got so much out of what was always an unbalanced squad with a lot of good forwards, but not so much really in the backs. But you've got to take your hat off to Tara Stanley, haven't you? She's been out for 2 years. Ironically, her last game when she got the injury, she was sensational against Leeds, and then did the ACL right at the end of that game. And then she comes back. She's had a couple of games to get back into it. Yeah. And I checked that, looking at the Leeds Twitter feed, and even they had said that she'd made the clean break for the first try, and then she scores an individual try herself. And you're just thinking, wow, you've done your ACL, haven't you, mate? To be doing that in your third game back.
Honestly, it's a tough injury to come back from. And also, Leon Price said after the game, he said he said that Tara was just unreal in the game. Yeah.
But it's not just that she's come back from an ACL. She's playing in a different position now.
Yeah, which I called for, actually.
Yeah, you did. Absolutely. And the other thing is, and I again, hate to say this, but she's not the youngest. So coming back from an ACL at her age compared to, say, a 22-year-old, it's got to be a lot harder. Yeah. And it's been 2 years. ACL is often 12 months, isn't it? So it was often an ACL. I'm guessing it was an ACL with some added complications. So to be producing a performance like that against a much improved Leeds team, And I'm just looking at League Express Game Star. Tara Jane Stanley was back to her best. No question that she was the player of the match yesterday. And she's got so many players now that she will have never played with before, like Donovan and Woods and Lenham, and just looking down the team list, she wouldn't have played with Williamson either. And they're four of the backs that she's playing alongside, and she's gone out there and she's just dominated. I mean, her kicking game has always been.
She's got a long kicking game.
If you're playing in a team that's struggling a bit, and you had it when she was playing fullback, you've got a fullback and you can kick the ball 70 metres downfield on the left tackle.
Yeah,
she's an unbelievable player, and I really did think that we'd probably seen the best of her. So for her to come back and play like this, if she keeps this up, she can potentially go to the World Cup. We'd all written her off, hadn't we, from the World Cup?
I think so, but she's got a few games to. I think the main thing with that is just get your confidence back, get your match fitness, and anything can happen. But I think that result is also a result of the Super Fours competition. So what I mean by that is, because you're playing tough games every week, maybe Leeds just felt like after a couple of hard games, maybe they couldn't get themselves up for that third game, So credit to the organisers. I'm loving this Super Fours competition.
Yeah. Credit. I'm guessing Tom Brindle will be behind this. I mean, I've been prepared to say in the past when things aren't right, but hats off to them for this. This Super Four is a brilliant idea.
Yep.
The WSL was immediately improved this season by the absence of Warrington, who's that soap opera last season was terrible. So they haven't been in it. Featherstone, massive improvement. Yeah. The first 7 games, there weren't quite the really embarrassing scores of last season.
No, it was great.
So those first 7 games were still good. Huddersfield putting pressure on York for that 4th spot.
Yeah.
But since the Super Fours have started, it's been really good. Just one more thing on York. The other player that's come back into the team is Savannah Andrade, having missed most of the season, and she is just. I've said before that she's the best English player since the last World Cup. And I'm not counting this season because she's barely played, but for the 3 full seasons, she was the best WSL player over those 3 seasons. So if they've got her, they've got her back and they've got Tara Stanley back, and you look down their team, there's a lot of players, particularly in their forward. What a pack of forwards!
Wood, Bell, Renner,
and Bell,
Beach.
The York v Saints next week is now massive, because the beauty of this Super Fours is that 4th is eliminated and doesn't get a semi-final shot. So you've got to finish 3rd at least. So Saints, I think, are now in 4th. Yes. York have leapfrogged them. So Saints for York next week is massive.
Yeah, and they play the week after as well. So that win yesterday for York is absolutely massive. So what I'm hoping for, just last thing on York, what I'm hoping for, because I've been waiting for it all year, I've been waiting for York to fire up, come good. They got too many good players, and I thought, geez, they're going to struggle all year. Hopefully that performance is the start of something big for them. So, a bit of confidence from that, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. So I'd just like to talk about, obviously it's a big year with the World Cup, and I've always got my eye on that. So a couple of players that could be putting their hand up so far. What are your thoughts on Lois Nadali?
Oh, I remember watching her play for Huddersfield when she played in the centres, and she was just class. Really, really good player. Just strong and physical and doesn't take a backward step, and was really pleased. And look, I know people will say we need top players to stay at teams like Huddersfield, and Amelia Brown's done that, and that's great. But sometimes they are going to lose good players to the top 4, and Lois Nadoli has not just gone to Leeds, but they've moved her up to prop. And I feel the reason why Leeds have improved so much this season is they've gone from having small middles to bigger, more physical middles, and I think Lois is part of that, and so Shannon Brown, and they're both having really good seasons. But we know the England coach likes his middles to be on the smaller side, so that might count against someone like Lois, and she's not been in the setup at all. So I think I'd still be surprised if it happened from the point of view of Stuart Barrow and his thinking. But I'd have no problems if she was in it.
Well, the thing is that I've noticed, especially against Saints, she's starting to get a bit more match fitness because she did miss a few games. But God, she's a powerhouse, and
Yeah,
England are going to need that power. So
yeah.
you get her in a forward pack coming off the bench with Williams and Sams and Coleman and Holly May Dodd and
She's the
even
sort of
Hunter,
player.
Lucy Murray,
Lois is the, yeah, we've got so many
and
options. But
Andrew.
Lois is the sort of player that New Zealand would pick in their forwards. But
Yeah.
we often find reasons not to pick players like that.
Mm.
And then, yeah, I like it. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying she's been top 13, but we've suddenly got options.
Well, it's a squad of 24.
Yeah. We've suddenly got options now. I think, but in the last World Cup, in the squad of 24, there were only 3 genuine props. And then obviously we couldn't cope in New Zealand's physicality, and that's where it all went wrong.
Yeah.
And Stewart hasn't shown signs of wanting to reverse that. He's sort of doubled down on that. But I thought his selection of Megan Williams over Jodie Cunningham is a step in the right direction in terms of addressing the physicality. Obviously, look, that's not a slight against Jodie. She's potentially been the greatest player in the WSL history. But we have to address that. There has to be some size and power and physicality in those starting middles. Otherwise, we could potentially get blown away by Samoa. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? If he's going to pick in a small part, we potentially lose heavily again to Australia, lose to Samoa, and we don't get past the group stages. So that's the area that has to improve. And suddenly, with Wigan's middles, you know, you've got people like Lucy Sams and Kelsey Gentle still not in the squad who are putting their hands up, and Lois Nadoli and Shannon Brown, and there's exciting options. And I still can't get my head around the fact that Jazz Bell's never been capped, for example. So. There are some good options.
Yeah, no, it's great. And just before, also, it's good to see Bella Sykes back at Leeds. I watched her play a lot out here, and she really impressed me. She's an all-action player, so she could be sort of like in that hooker utility role, you know.
Well, she can play everywhere in the forwards, can't she? She
She impressed me. She was great.
Yeah.
So
can you just tell us a bit about her and Izzy Northrop then? Because they've been playing. What is it? Sort of, is it BMD Cup?
Yeah, Izzy Northrop's been playing in the BMD Premiership up in Queensland, and she is regularly in the team of the week for the whole competition. So she's going really well.
Is she playing prop or second row?
Both. She's mixing it up. She looks a bit small to play prop, to be honest, but
she scores a lot of tries, doesn't she?
She's a bit of a try scorer. And Bella Sykes, she was playing with the Sharks in the New South Wales Premiership. Just still on World Cup selection possibilities. Amelia Brown has come back from injury in the last 2 games, has scored 8 tries, 4 in each. What an athlete she is, and hopefully that doesn't go against her playing in the bottom 4.
Well, I would absolutely take her to the World Cup, and I think she would have more caps if she played for one of the top 4. And I'm not a fan of players being penalised for who they play for, because she has a lot of experience of playing for a team that's up against it, an underdog team playing against a superior team, and that is where England will be in the World Cup against Australia, and then in a potential semi-final against New Zealand. I think she qualifies on merit. She's ticked every box. She can cover fullback and wing, and with especially with potentially Leah Burke and Caitlin Beavers not being fit, I think she'd probably be in my 13.
Yeah,
she should certainly go in the squad. I hope it's not used against her that.
No.
While the Super Fours is going on, she's playing against the bottom 4, because there's nothing more she can do. And I really admire her loyalty to Huddersfield. I'm guessing. Well, I know that there have been times in the past where she could have left at any time to go to the Big 4.
To me, the selectors have to think about the conditions that they're going to be playing in Australia in October, November. The grounds are going to be hard and fast. They're going to be playing against athletic opposition, and she's a real athlete. I think she could be like a real star out here. I really do. So
she looks like an NRLW player, doesn't she?
She does.
She looks like an NRLW player, and I think she would have gone right through the system had she been born in Sydney, and I think she'd be playing in the NRLW now, because Australian coaches would recognise what you just said.
Yeah,
they would recognise that, and they would, whatever there is to work with, she's still got that physique and raw athleticism and skill. And I think she should have had more caps by now, and I really hope she's there in the World Cup.
Okay, just quickly, because we're running out of time. NRLW girls, there's 3 English girls over here. What's your thoughts on how they're going?
Well, you're watching more than me because I'm guessing you've watched every minute of them. My understanding from what I'm seeing and reading is that Fran Goldthorpe is probably the best of the 3 now.
Yep. Agree.
And of course, as far as England is concerned, she's been playing fullback, wing, and centre this season. Yep. Interestingly, Holly May Dodd's played prop all season.
Yep.
So does she come into contention there for England? Because I'd have Savannah in the second row for England with Eva Hunter, and then you play Holly May Dodd as one of your 5 or 6 rotating middles. So you tell us, mate. You watch them more than I do. But
so if I was to rank the 3 girls so far this season, Fran Goldthorpe, number 1. She's been amazing. She's probably the second best fullback in the NRL now, behind Tamika Upton. Consistent, enthusiastic, class.
200 metres a week, I believe.
Pardon?
Sorry, 200 metres a week.
Yeah. She's been unreal. Yeah. She did get injured on the weekend, though, so I hope her ankle's okay. Right. Holly May Dodd, really strong. God, she's a good player. I really rate her highly. And Georgia Roach, I'm going to rate her 3rd of the 3. She's probably one of the most talented players in the NRLW. So it sort of frustrates me a bit that she doesn't. She'll do something brilliant, and you think, oh, she's really going to show everyone what she's got, and then she just holds back again. Lets Kira Dibb take over. You know, she just doesn't have that killer instinct type thing where she just takes it by the throat. You know what I mean? Like, I really want to see her just dominate it over the whole 70-minute period instead of in and out of games. You know what I mean?
Well, she used to play second fiddle to Southwell, didn't she?
Yes.
And then when Southwell left,
same thing's happening now.
Yeah. Interesting. I think some halfbacks are like that, though. Some halfbacks like to be at the centre of everything for 80 minutes, and some just inject themselves into something where they can see there's something there. I mean, is there an element of that? That it's just her game, and doing 1 or 2 brilliant things every half is enough?
I don't think it's enough, because in her position, she has to be the dominant figure, or at least, you know, share the dominance with Kira Dibb.
Yeah.
She's just not taking control like she should, and she's so talented, so it just makes it more frustrating for me. Anyway, Rich, we're running out of time. Just about. Actually, we've got a few minutes left, but we can. If you got anything else to say.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, we could maybe talk about England at a later date.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously,
it's going to be one heck of a squad. He's got some big decisions, hasn't he? How do you? I mean, we don't have to go into this now. We could do another episode on this, but how do you fit the 2 Wigan halfbacks and Georgia Roach into your 13? Because they're probably 3 of our 5 best players.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that you need them all in the starting lineup somewhere. And I think Megan Williams has got the number 13 jersey locked down. Yeah. And if I'm wrong about that, then Jodie has, because Jodie's had it for years. I don't see a few people suggested Georgia at 13. So I'm now thinking, does one of the 3 play hooker? Because I'm not sure we have a top out-and-out hooker.
Okay.
The hookers at Wigan
that brings me to what you said. Does Remy Wilton qualify?
Yeah, I've asked you this before, haven't I? Yeah. So she's been here 2.5 years.
Okay. I'm not sure. We'll have to look into that.
Well, I'll try and get an answer to that.
And the other thing is, when we see the highlights of the York Leeds game, you'll see an unbelievable try from Nicole Kennedy. I think she went 60 metres. So she's another one that I want to put in the.
So this is an Australian who's played for the Netherlands, who we now want to get into the England.
Like she qualifies, so she should definitely be.
If we've still got a minute or so, I mean, Matt, what are your thoughts on
5?
What are your thoughts potentially then on NRLW players who are primarily Australian putting their hands up to play for England? Because my understanding last year was that roughly 20 odd either qualify or have expressed an interest. Now, I've got immense sympathy here for Stuart Barrow, because this is tough. Do you go with these players who then potentially don't play for us again, and who obviously aren't going to fly over to play against France and Wales? Or do you stick with the players? You know, we've probably got 40 or 50 players who could be within a shot or might one day have ambitions of playing for England in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
And I kind of think if there's a position where we're really struggling,
well, that's what I was
a couple of really good then maybe then. But I wouldn't want to be full strength. Okay. I don't think I'd want to go down because it's not going to win us the World Cup. You know, it's not like it's the difference between winning the World Cup or not.
No, it's just widening the play pool. But okay, so here's my thought on it. Comes down to the position. So, for example, West Tigers fullback Caitlin Turnbull has put her hand up to play for England. I think she's got an English parent or maybe two.
Yeah.
Actually, I think she's only got one. But she's having a great year in the NRLW. She's gone fantastically well. But, you know,
we're not short of fullbacks.
Already got not short of fullbacks, right?
Yeah.
She can probably play in the wing, not really short of wingers either. So people will say Jocelyn Kelleher from the Roosters is, you know, top point scorer in the NRLW. But you got Furbester, you got Rowe, you got Roach.
We're not having that. We do it. Even if it's a top draw halfback, you can't deny. So Furbester a shirt.
So my thoughts would be if a big forward like Ellie Johnson from the Sharks or someone had English heritage and she put a hand up, I'd say yes to that.
Yeah,
because she's a top player. She's got size, power. So that
counts against you though with England.
What's that? Sorry. Oh, yeah.
That counts against you though with England.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I agree.
So positions based on positions. Yeah, for sure.
I think I'm not sure. I don't want to offend anyone. I'm not sure we've got a top draw 9. We've got some good options, and I know we're both a big fan of Ruby Bruce, but I'm not sure there. So that's where I think you potentially put one of the halfbacks. But if they don't want to do that, if a top draw 9 was available, I'd look at that.
Yeah.
Centres, I thought we were a bit thin. We've been a bit thin with centres, haven't we?
A little bit thin.
But I wouldn't want someone to come in and take the place of Evie Cousins or Molly Jones. I think Georgia Wilson I still can't get my head around the fact that she didn't go to Las Vegas. I think she's the bang on number 1 choice, and then partnered with either Cousins or Jones. I'd still, even if there's a better centre out there, I'd still not. I wouldn't feel comfortable with it happening with young players coming through like Molly and Evie to just then be denied an England cap or an England.
I'm with you on that. Yeah.
If it was the difference between winning the World Cup or not, but with respect, we could pick all 20 of these NRLW players who qualify, and we're still not going to beat Australia. So I think they've got to get it right long term.
Yeah,
and I'd be happy for the squad to be picked from the same pool of players, the WSL players plus the 3 in the NRLW that are English that have played,
including Rebecca Wilson.
I'd have no problem with her or Nicole Kelly. They're playing in the WSL and they'd be available for future games against.
Well, this would be her third year. This would be her 3rd season, so I think would that qualify her? Of course, how long did Courtney?
I don't know. I remember thinking that because Catalan Dragons had some Australians like Clint Greenshields who played, and I remember thinking they got in a bit sooner than I thought they would. So I think it might be 2 years. So if it is, then she qualifies, and I think Wilton is the best hooker in the WSL, and she's amazing. She doesn't get much credit for what Wigan do because we always talk about the youngsters, Rowan Furbster, Hunter, but she's a sensational.
She's part of their spine, which is absolutely outstanding every week.
Yeah. So I'd look at that, but I'm not sure about a total stranger coming into the camp and then you've only got a week to get to know them and get to know how they play. I'm not a fan of that. But if needs must, fine.
Yeah,
but it's a tough decision for the coach, and I sympathise with him having to make that. Yeah. Because when they got battered in Vegas, the first question that was asked to Stuart by I think Steve Mascott in the press conference was, "Why don't you pick some NRLW players?" No, I'm not on board. No,
I'm not either. Really, because unlike the men, like Victor Radley, for example, chose to play for England, so he can't go back and play for Australia now. But if an Australian NRLW player played for England, she can still go back, and that to me that just doesn't. It
doesn't sit well, but they are in a different stratosphere to us. But it still doesn't. Sit well.
As I said, depends who it is and what position. So, but as you say, we could do a whole show on this.
Yeah, no. Let's come back to England at some point because he's got some tough selections, and I don't sympathise.